exorcism. You know, the word itself just brings up these wild, dramatic images, right? But if we can push past all the Hollywood stuff for a minute, what does the Bible, the actual source text for Christian belief, have to say about it? What are the rules? What's the real authority? And what are the boundaries? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into. So let's just get right to the heart of it. We're going to go straight to the scriptures to see if we can uncover the patterns, understand the power, and find the actual instructions for dealing with demonic forces. And you really have to start at the top. The entire foundation for this whole topic is built on the absolute authority that Jesus Christ demonstrates in the New Testament. I mean, his actions set the precedent for everything else that follows. Now, before we even get to the idea of casting them out, the Bible first has to establish what they are. And it's pretty clear. They're presented as fallen angels, beings who are fundamentally opposed to God. This really sets the stage for the spiritual conflicts we read about. Wow. This quote right here shows a level of control that's just stunning. See, Jesus isn't just winning some kind of struggle here. He is exercising total, complete command. He doesn't just kick them out, he silences them. Why? Because even if they speak the truth, it's coming from a corrupt source. This is a powerful display of his absolute, unquestioned authority. So you might be asking, was this incredible power something only Jesus could use? Well, not exactly. The scriptures show that during his time on earth, he actually delegated this authority to his followers. If you look at the book of Luke, for instance, there's a point where Jesus sends out 72 of his followers on a mission. And a huge part of that mission was giving them the authority to act in his name. And yep, that explicitly included power over demonic forces. The key thing to remember is it was never about their own strength, but about the authority they were carrying on his behalf. So they come back, and they are just buzzing with amazement. Their report is clear. The authority Jesus gave them was the real deal, and it worked. But right here, at this absolute peak of their excitement, the story takes a really crucial turn. Jesus sees how fired up they are about this newfound power, and he doesn't deny what happened, not at all. But he immediately steps in to completely reframe their whole perspective. This moment is so important for understanding this topic. And boom, here it is. This is the key insight. Jesus basically tells them, hey, that power is impressive, I get it, but it's not the main prize. The real reason to celebrate is your salvation. He's intentionally shifting their focus away from supernatural fireworks and pointing them toward the eternal gift of life. Now, this practice didn't just end after that one mission. It kept going with the apostles, like the Apostle Paul in the book of Acts. This authority, which was always used in Jesus' name, had a vital job in the early church. It authenticated the gospel. By showing the power of Christ over the forces of darkness, it was like a sign to a skeptical world that this message had real divine authority behind it. Okay, so we've seen this power used by Jesus, we've seen it used by the apostles to validate the gospel, but what happens after that? Once the church was established and the New Testament was written down, was this practice meant to continue as a command for everybody? I mean, this is really the big question, isn't it? If the very first followers of Jesus were doing this, is it something that's supposed to be a standard, expected practice for all Christians through all of history? Well, according to this interpretation of the scriptures, the answer is no. While the events are absolutely biblical, they're right there in the Bible, the argument is that you don't find a command that instructs all believers to go out and seek and perform exorcisms. The idea is that it was a specific sign gift for a specific apostolic time. So if the primary instruction isn't to go on the offense, then what is the believer's role? Well, the Bible seems to lay out a very different kind of command, one that's fundamentally defensive. The instruction you find in the book of James is this clear three-part sequence, and the order is everything. Step 1, submit yourself to God. That's where your authority comes from. Step 2, from that position of submission, you resist the devil. And the result? The promise is that he is the one who will flee. The power isn't in your ability to confront, but in your position with God. So you can see this is a pretty significant shift in focus. The emphasis moves away from trying to seek out a direct power encounter and instead lands on a posture of humility and complete dependence on God. It becomes about trusting in his authority, not trying to flex our own. This might just be the most powerful example of this principle in the whole Bible. I mean, think about it. If Michael, an archangel, one of God's most powerful servants, doesn't take on Satan in his own power, but instead appeals directly to God, saying, "The Lord rebuke you." Well, that sets a pretty profound example for the rest of us, doesn't it? And that brings us to the final, and maybe the most important, distinction we need to make in this whole explainer. It's the difference between something being biblical and something being normative. Okay, let's be crystal clear on what this word means. Normative just means it's the norm. It's the standard operating procedure that's commanded for all believers in all places at all times. And the argument here is that while exorcism is definitely biblical, it's not presented as being normative for the church today. And this comparison chart, it really brings it all home. On one side, you have the apostolic role. It was confrontational, casting out demons, and its purpose was to authenticate the gospel. But then you look at the believer's role, which is for everyone. It's defensive. It's about resisting the devil and standing firm in your faith. Two very different jobs. This verse just perfectly captures the believer's command. The instruction isn't to go charge into battle. It's to put on God's armor so that you are able to stand your ground. The whole focus is on endurance, on defense, and on holding the position that you've already been given in Christ. So, where does that leave us? Spiritual warfare is presented as being very real, for sure, but the Bible's primary instruction for the believer isn't about seeking direct confrontation. And that raises a crucial question for all of us, doesn't it? In our own lives, what does it truly mean to put on that armor and simply stand our ground?